This is Jay Michaels, and here we are at Phoenix FearCon. This is Phoenix FearCon X, Phoenix FearCon's 10th anniversary, and we have a lineup of celebrities that is absolutely incredible. And who's leading that charge? And he certainly knows how to lead that charge in terms of those celebrities. Is Fred Williamson. Now you know that name from films like From Dusk Till Dawn and a litany of television, films, and TV series. But you also know him under another name. You also know him as Hammer, the Hammer. It is a pleasure to meet you. Can't wait to see you at the convention itself. You want me to call you Hammer, or how do you want to be addressed?
Hammer is convenient for you, so go convenient. Hammer.
There you go. Hammer, it is a pleasure to meet you. How's everything going? Joyously, you're able to do this convention because a movie that you're working on changed its production schedule. Let's start there. What movie are you doing now?
Well, I've been signed to do a movie for Italian Western in Spain. We're going to shoot it in Almeria, Spain, but the virus situation is a little vicious down there now. So probably in December, I'll be going over, and we'll probably be shooting in December or January.
Terrific. Give us an idea. What's the plot? What interesting thing you doing?
I can barely tell you the name, but I can tell you the name, The Fourth Horseman. But beyond that, it's all top secret, man, until it gets released. That's how it works.
There you go. That's fine with me. I asked you because you were telling me a story that you have in your contract, interesting things for movies, and your big one here for FearCon is you were in From Dusk Till Dawn, and you have an amazing edge of your seat sequence where you're turned into a vampire. Spoiler alert, the three people that haven't seen that movie yet. And you were telling me that's in your contract. How was it to work on that film?
Well, what's actually in my contract when I signed to do a movie is that you can't kill me in a movie, and I have to win all my fights. I understood a long time ago, image is important. You can maintain an image and sell an image forever. But if you vacillate between a tough guy, a comic, those kind of careers don't last very long, because pretty soon people are confused about what they're going to see when they see you in a film. I do the same thing in all my films. I fight, I beat up the bad guy, I take him to jail, and I don't die. If I get beat up, it's like Clint Eastwood. Clint Eastwood gets shot, beat up terribly in the first 20 minutes of his film, but he comes back and vindicates all the things that happened to him, and now the audience is on his side. Otherwise, you're just a tough guy trying to be tough. If you start beating up people early in the film, then you're a bully. The only time you fight is when you have to fight, or when it's necessary for you to defend yourself. That's my image, and that's what I maintain in all my films.
That is very cool. You know, I never heard the philosophy of it. I love action movies, and I've never heard the philosophy of exactly when you got to beat people up and what the motivations are. That's pretty cool.
People have to be on your side. When you start shooting people and beating up people, they have to be on your side. People who are getting taken down by you deserve it. So they have to be dubious characters that they deserve to be taken down, so they can be on your side. So that's my motto, and that's what I adhere to. And that's the part of my longevity.
Yeah, let's talk longevity. I was looking you up before this interview. I just wanted to get a real idea of the breadth of your career, and I'm blinking. You were in like every television series from the good old days.
Because I'm part of the good old days.
There you go.
I'm from the good old days, dude. I'm 83. I'm from the good old days, right? So my first entry into the film business was Diane Keogh's boyfriend for 2 years on the Julia show. Now, I did that for the experience. I really wasn't crazy about my name, Steve Bruce. Here's a guy who got a name called Steve Bruce. I just retired from football as the Hammer, and I go into a series and my name is Steve Bruce. That didn't sit well for me, but it was a great learning experience. And I happened to be at the right place at the right time, because we shot the series at 20th Century Fox. So one day I was in the commissary having lunch, and a guy walks by and he says, "You're the Hammer, right?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "I'm doing a movie. I got a football scene in it. I don't know anything about football. Would you direct all the football sequences and be in the movie?" I said, "Yeah." The movie was MASH. My first movie was Spear Chucker Jones in the movie MASH.
Wow. You're in groundbreaking pieces, MASH, obviously, and you may have hated your name, but that show was groundbreaking on so many levels in there. You were in
Well,
so many of the action dramas of that time period as well.
but it gave me an experience. I never left the set. I bugged all the crew. What do you call that? What are those lights? What do you call it? Why is that a 3K? What the hell does a 3K mean? What's 5K? I bugged everybody. I knew that my longevity in the industry, sooner or later, I would have to take control of my own career. And so I learned the business of the business, which everybody has to do, no matter whether it's a movie business or any kind of business that you're in. You have to learn the business of the business if you want longevity.
Sure, sure, you're absolutely right, and you certainly have. You're still kicking. Did you say you're 83?
Yep, 83.
You're lying, really?
March 5th, 1938.
Okay.
And I'm a
What-
four handicap from the back tees.
Oh my God. Whatever you're doing, please keep doing it. And please send me an email as to what you're doing. Holy mackerel, you look
simple.
amazing.
Very simple. I eat black
amazing.
jelly beans. I eat nothing but black jelly beans, you know?
I'm gonna have to try that.
I'm not saying it's gonna work for you. I'm just telling you, it's my secret. And
I think it also helps that the strength and power you have now. Now you're calling you Hammer does not come from working on the film sets. It comes from a very powerful career before that.
pro football for 10 years, won Super Bowl, 4 times All Pro. But I had to create something that was memorable. Again, you have a favorite football team, right? You have a favorite football team, right?
No, I just like the sport in general. I go across the boards.
Okay, but then this is not a good question for you. If you had a favorite football team and I asked you to name the running back or the quarterback, you could do immediately.
Oh, sure, of course.
But I asked you to name the 4 defensive backs, you can't. And I was a defensive back, and I was not willing to fall on into that area where people didn't know who I was out there. So I created an image of knocking people out, knocking people down, and calling myself the Hammer because somebody picked up that terminology and laid it on me. Says, yeah, you dropped the hammer on him. So now you go to a Raider game or a Kansas City game where I was playing. They knew that guy out there, number 24. They called him the Hammer. I don't know what his name is, but he's called the Hammer. So I was developing an image. And again, I learned early in life that image is everything.
It's really incredible. Listening to you, I'm really fascinated. So you understand the marketing of this. You understood the marketing of sports, of being a member of a football team, and how to make a name for yourself. You grabbed a nickname and made it an institution. And you did the same thing, obviously, with television and film industry. You understand the marketing of it. Where did you get that knowledge from? Where did you learn such knowledge?
I was 10 years old when I was a junior in high school. And I'm watching 2 guys who were big heroes at the school. And they were called the toughest guys in the school. If you said anything to them that they didn't like, they'd beat you up for days. They'd wait for you after school. They had this reputation. But I never saw them fight. I never saw them beat up anybody. I don't think they ever did. It was the way that they walked down the hall. It was the way that they create their own image of who they were. Don't bother me or I will kill you. I said, wow, that's cool. I can do that. I'm tall, I'm big, I'm handsome. I can create my own same image. And that's what I did. I understand then that image was everything. You don't have to go around beating anybody, but if you have an attitude or the look like you can, you don't ever have to. And you should never, ever have to. So again, image is everything.
You know, the filmmaker Orson Welles, he had the expression, I want people to think I'm a bad boy. I'm not a bad boy, but I want people to think I'm a bad boy.
What they perceive of you is marketable if they all perceive the same thing. But you cannot vacillate. If you do, it's doomed.
That's really incredible. It's really insightful.
Burt Reynolds found that out. Burt Reynolds came into the industry as a tough guy, private detective. Then all of a sudden, he changed his career and started doing comedy. And he started doing funny stuff with, did a funny movie with Jackie Gleason. Then he tried to come back and be a private detective tough guy again. It didn't work. It didn't work.
Because we all liked him doing humorous.
Well, when you pull out a gun and point the gun at somebody, you don't know if it's going to go bang or if it's a flag going to come out and say bang.
Right.
So now if people say, which Burt Reynolds are we looking at? But he was a talented guy, but he started crisscrossing those careers and it didn't work.
Okay, in terms of crisscrossing careers, okay, action hero, tough guy, they can fight you, but they can't win over you. What made you do a Quentin Tarantino horror movie? Because that could veer you off a lot of different paths. What made you do From Dusk Till Dawn?
Well, it was a horror movie, but my image was maintained throughout the whole movie. When you first see me, I'm sitting at a table with a domino set, and Selma Hayek dances on my table and knocks down my domino set, and I give her the evil eye. The next thing, fighting starts happening. Now I know what's going to happen. My fans who's watching this movie are waiting for me to jump into the fight and to do something. So what happens? The vampires start jumping off the bar at me, and I'm picking them up and spiking them on the table one at a time. So I spike them on the table. So now I'm doing the Hammer thing. I was not part of the fantasy of being a horror movie or whatever movie you want to call it. I just happened to be at the wrong place at the wrong time and fighting my way out of this bar called the Titty Twister Bar. So my image fit well into the character that Quentin let me play.
Yeah, it's really interesting. The thing I really appreciated about that movie was it's a Quentin Tarantino film, so of course it combines so many genres. So you'd have this. The only reason it's not just an action movie is because there's the undead in it, and so it's rather ironic. This action hero walks into this bar, and the bar just happens to have vampires. So yeah, you kept your image in that all the way. That's
it was important.
Really interesting.
I mean, and
really
he understood that. He understood that, and then he had to find a way for me to die in a movie because I told him, I don't die in movies. So he found a way to let this thing kill me. So I didn't die by some human person. I died by this big, ugly creature that I turned into. I got killed by stabbing me in the stomach with his gun. So it was okay for me to die that way. Otherwise, I don't have to explain to my fans on walking down Times Square, walking around in Times Square, I said, Hammer, why you let that guy beat you up? Why you let that guy kill you? They would never understand that. So that was my way out of being in this movie and still maintaining my image.
Perfect justification. How was the transition from sports figure to action hero on film? Now you mentioned MASH. Yeah. Was that did you say that was the very first?
The first movie, yeah. It was my first.
Now you were in the commissary. Why were you in the commissary at that point?
I was 20th Century Fox. That's where we were shooting Julia. So I was having lunch and they were preparing MASH at the same time. So I happened to meet him. But it's sort of, it kept moving from that point on because Ingo Preminger was the producer of MASH. And he took a liking to me. He said, I want to take you to meet my brother, Otto Preminger, who's doing a movie called Tell Me You Love Me, Junie Moon. Oh. And they're looking for a dark-skinned Italian guy. And I said, I'm dark, dude, but I ain't Italian. He said, well, I'm gonna take you over there and introduce you to him, and he might like you because I think you're perfect for the role. But he didn't tell Otto we were coming. Otto was having a dinner party at his house, and he didn't tell Otto we were coming. So we went to the house, and he introduced me to Otto, and Otto was a little kind of angry that we didn't announce the fact that he was bringing somebody. So he convinced him, hey, read him. Here's the script, read the part. So Otto sits down on a couch, and I'm sitting across from him, and Otto is looking in his mean kind of way with the bald head glaring at me and looking under his eyes and says, okay, you read, we see you can act. I was a terrible co-reader because I hadn't been in the business that long. I just come off the set of MASH and I didn't really do a lot of talking in MASH. I did a lot of action stuff. So I wasn't doing very well. So I tore the script up, threw it down. I said, I don't want to do this anyway. He says, very good, because you are ex-football player. You now don't play for a long time and you're probably out of shape. You couldn't do this role anyway because you have to carry someone on your shoulder, a paraplegic You have to carry him on your shoulder throughout the whole movie. So I grabbed him by the collar and I lifted him up from the seat. And I said, oh yeah. And I held him for about 10 or 15 seconds. And I gently put him down, got up, walked to the door, kissed his wife on the hand because she's opened the door for me and she was apologizing for him being so rude. I said, I'm very sorry to upset your dinner party. And I left. I get home, the phone is ringing. I pick up the phone. He says, Fred, it's Otto. I'm going to talk to you. I don't want to talk to you. I hung up the phone. He calls back again. He says, no, you have the part. I want you to for the part. I said, I don't want the part. I will tell you, you're going to be a good star. I want you to be in the part. Said, all right, okay. Send me a contract. No, we don't have a contract. I said, bye. Finally, an agent that I had closed the deal. And the movie was Tell Me You Love Me, Junie Moon with Liza Minnelli. I played Beach Boy.
Incredible. You know, when someone says Otto Preminger, we all think, oh, Otto Preminger. You picked him up and then you hung up on him.
The press followed me around through the whole movie saying, Fred, pick him up again. Do it good. So one time we were on a lunch break and I took Otto and picked him up again. And the press took 10,000 pictures of me holding Otto.
Of course.
Put him back down.
Wow. What made the decision for you? There you are, sports figure. And did they ask you to be in Julia? Did you? What made the transition? What was the move that made the transition?
During the off season, when I was playing pro football, I was an architect. That's my background. I graduated from Northwestern in architecture engineering. So I worked for Bechtel Steel during the off season as an architectural engineer. So it was 6 months of football, 6 months of architect, which was cool. By the time I got bored with one, it was time to go do the other. But once I retired from football, went full-time for Bechtel, I lasted about 9 months because after 6 months, I got restless. 3 months, I was really fighting it. I said, really, man, I waited too long to make this transition, to sit behind a desk and do drawings and do 9 to 5 and an hour for lunch. I said, I've waited too long to do this. I got to find something else to do. One night I'm watching television. I see Diane Carroll had a show called Julia. And I noticed that, I watched it about 3-4 times. And I noticed that each week she had a new boyfriend because the guest star role had to be Diane Carroll's possibly lover or possibly boyfriend. And I said to myself, I'm better looking than any of those guys. I'm going to Hollywood and become Diane Carroll's boyfriend. So I took my XKE Jaguar, hooked a trailer to it, drove it all the way from San Francisco to LA, put the trailer in the parking lot as I checked in the hotel. I drove over to the lot where they were shooting Julia, 20th Century Fox. I went to the gate and I said, I want to go in and see Mr. Hal Cantor, producer of Julia show. He said, you got to drive in, you got to pass? I said, no, I don't have a pass. He said, well, you can't come in. I said, okay. This is 1961, 62. I had no pass. I had nothing, but I knew the name of the producer. So I drove around a lot. There were no cell phones in those days. I drove around a lot to the cell phone booth, called back to the gate. This is Mr. Hal Cantor's office. We're expecting Mr. Williamson. Would you let him on the lot, please? Hung up the phone. Went back around. He says, oh yeah, we just got a call about you on the lot. He's in bungalow 24. So I go to bungalow 24. I'm talking to the secretary. I says, why are you here? I want to see Mr. Hal Cantor. You have an appointment? No, just tell him the Hammer is here. So she gets on the squawk box nose head in those days. She buzzed him in. She said, Mr. Hal Cantor, there's a Mr. Hammer here. I said, no, Mr. Hammer, the Hammer. It was about 3-4 seconds of silence. He said, football player? I said, yeah. So come on in. Yeah, I'd like to meet you. So I go in. We talked for about 20 minutes about football. Finally, he says, why are you here? I says, I'm here to be your next star, to be Diane Carroll's boyfriend. I said, I've watched it each week. I said, she has a very promiscuous character because she's dating a new guy each week. That doesn't look good. He said, well, we've been thinking about that certain thing. I said, well, he says, you ever acted before? I said, what do you mean I've acted before? I did 5 years of Carmen Jones and 3 years of Raising in the Sun in Canada. I took him to Canada because I know he didn't know nothing about Canada. If he had asked me what character I played, I'd have been dead in the water. I didn't say New York because I know he'd have been asking me a lot more personal questions. So he said, okay, that's good. We'll write a show for you just to see how you do. So I wrote a show called Dancer in the Dark about a pro football player who retired from football, came to work for the same company that Diane Carroll worked for. And I did a good job and they hired me. 3 years I was on the show.
Dare I say, so you lied about your theatrical background.
I didn't lie, I exaggerated. The difference.
You're in good company. Boris Karloff created a resume which had all of these Shakespeare credits on them. He didn't tell them that he read the plays. He just wasn't in them. So I was going to say you're in good company, but I think he's in good company also.
I had to give him confidence that he was talking to somebody that possibly was knowledgeable about acting. Had to give him that confidence, and that's how I did it.
Hammer, Mr. Williamson,
Bravo.
thank you so much for this. This is really marvelous. What you have done in terms of marketing, in terms of confidence, is absolutely brilliant. You built this legend about yourself and then lived it, which is absolutely incredible. I can't wait to chat with you at the convention itself. I can't wait to learn more about everything that you've done. I can't wait till the fans get a hold of all of this.
You don't have that much time, dude, to learn about all the things I've done. You don't have that much time.
Well,
just imagine how many things I've gone through. You don't have that much time in your life.
well, then just a piece of it, which is worth gold. I can't wait to chat with you when I can, and I can't wait till the fans get their chance to chat with you as well. Thank you so much for this. Thank you for your time. Can't wait to see you at the convention, and here's to it.
All right, I'm there.
Thanks.
Ciao.
Ciao.